Hello, everyone. Welcome to Progress Junior Golf. My name's Steve Jackson. This is Ian Waterhouse.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be back. I didn't miss it last time, but I had computer issues, so I was sat in the back. But It's great to be back. Good to see you.
Aaron Cox is with us as well, who, of course, helped co-present last time. And we also have our guest on this evening as well, which is Steve, another Steve, a more important Steve, though. This is Steve Hughes.
Hi, guys. Pleased to meet you. How are we?
Good, good. Right, now, this is the Progress Junior Golf podcast. It's the second one of the new show and the 64th episode since we started this way back at the start of 2022. So we've done really well to get this far. Now, during that time, we've chatted about encouraging more juniors to play the game of golf, and in particular, to play in competitions and events. Lots and lots of reasons why we're keen to get more boys and girls playing the game of golf. Fitness, helps with mental health, meet new people, make new friends, all those types of things. Now, from a junior perspective, perhaps one of the main reasons why they want to play the game is to get better at the sport. And when that happens, the possibility of turning professional becomes an option for some of those. Now, playing golf for a living sounds like a reasonably good job. Is it, you guys? You should know.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, it is.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, neither would I. I have no idea. You know,
You're getting there, Ian. You're getting there.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You see me. You see my swing.
But it's not the only way to get into the golf industry, and that's what we're going to be looking at today, because we're going to discuss the topic with both Aaron and Steve, Ian initially as well, but we're going to talk with Aaron and Steve in particular about how you can get into the golf industry, the types of jobs that you can get, and we're going to hear from a couple of guests who have done that as well, because it's not easy getting placements in the golf industry, but we've got two young golfers who are going through that process as we speak, and with the help of the Faraday Series and with the help of Progress Junior Golf, they are getting themselves on that road to hopefully staying in the golf industry and having a really good career. Emily Leong and Bailey Pike are going to be joining us as well. Before we get on to that, though, Ian's going to give us all the details about exactly how you can get involved in the show this evening, because it's an interactive show, and we would love to hear from you as we're going along.
Yeah, good point, Steve. We call it a podcast, but it's not really, is it? It's a show. You can get involved. You can see our faces. So please do. We're live across YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, absolutely everywhere. So if you have a question for Steve or Aaron, please do get in contact with us. So there's you can see a little QR code there. You can scan that. That will take you through to this video on YouTube where the live chat is open right now. That's the best place to get your comments in, because if you do it there, we will definitely see it. And if you keep it clean, we can show it on screen. Unless you comment 1 minute after 9, then you can say whatever you want and we can show it.
Yeah, bit of time, yeah.
yeah. It's 3 minutes past 8, so you've got an hour to wait, everybody. But do get your comments in. Honestly, we love interaction, so please do. We can show your comment on screen as well, and we'll give you guys a shout out. And as ever, please do let us know which club you're a member of too. We will give your home club a bit of a G up as well. So get in touch. Steve.
Right, so we're going to be talking about trying to get into the golf industry, or juniors trying to get into the golf industry. But first things first, then we'll bring Ian in just on this one very quickly then, because I just wanted to find, how did you get into the golf industry then? Because you weren't a junior golfer, but how did you get into the golf industry?
Well, my route has always been media. For Steve Hughes beneath us, we've never met actually, have we, Steve? It's about 5 minutes ago. So you don't really know anything about me, but my background was media. I worked for a golf company, Foremost Golf, as a feature article writer for them. And then whilst doing that, I was involved in motorsport media, set up my own company, and then got involved with the 2020 Pro Tour, which is where I met Aaron, of course, at the first event. Yep. And it just sort of went from there, really. It was media is my bag. That's where I started. That's where I came into golf.
Found his true calling.
It's where I found my true. I realised very quickly I was never going to make it as a pro, or get anywhere near making it as a pro. So I do what all people who can't play golf very well do, is go down a media route.
I'm joining you in.
To that. And Aaron, yourself, I know we kind of touched on this in the last podcast about how you got into it, but just specifically, how did you become into the golf industry? Go from being a player as an amateur to becoming a professional?
I was a junior from age 6, but I actually got my first job in the golf industry when I was 13, 9 months, when it was actually like that's the legal time that we were able to get a job in Australia. Was picking balls 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Monday to Friday every week, and go to school straight after that. And that was my first job getting into the golf industry, and being obviously a junior, playing as a junior member, and also working in the golf industry. It's kind of just gelled in together, and yeah, I knew I wanted to be a golf pro, so it just kind of helped that aspiration, that dream.
And Steve, yourself, what was your journey from amateur, junior to becoming in the golf industry?
Yeah, to be fair, mine was quite quick. So I took up the game when I was about 15/16 years of age. Basically nicking my dad's golf clubs from the garage and going on the field and hitting some golf shots. Then the next thing you know, my dad found out that the clubs were a bit dirty, and he was like, "Have you been using them?" I was like, "No, not me. Then after about 2 or 3 months after this, we went down the driving range, and I just found out that I was a natural. By the time I was 18/19, having lessons and playing, I got down to a 2 handicap. And then from there, when I turned 21, I turned pro, and I travelled the world playing golf, playing tournaments, doing corporate events, doing a little bit of media stuff as well. So I know a little bit about it, Ian. And just having a hell of a lot of fun. And sorry to say, the reason why I actually stopped doing it all is as I got older, my old man became, sorry to say, poorly ill. And then he passed away, and I had to come home and look after the family business. So I've seen it all, done it all, and I would have loved to have carried it on with it all. But sorry to say, on this occasion, I didn't. And then when I was at home back in the UK, I met my lovely other half, and we settled down, and then the rest is history.
Okay, right. Just to get a little background, I know, and there's Steve's whole life story.
To like you.
Oh, don't worry. I've not told you the rest since I came back and I became a PGA pro and all the rest of it. That's another story for another day.
Right, now just briefly on myself then, because I know Aaron and Steve can both talk for a living, so I need to keep it quite short when I'm doing like my little bit. But obviously I started out as a sports journalist covering football and things like that. I was working for a newspaper down in Kent. Someone rang up around about February time and said, and the editor picked up the phone and looked around the office and went, "Steve, take this phone call." And it was a guy from a local golf club who said, "Got a golf story, would you like to cover it?" And I just went back to the editor after I wrote the story and said, "Does anybody do a golf page?" And then from that moment onwards, although I've always been a sports journalist as such, that's when I started moving into doing a lot more golf coverage. So that's when I started moving into the golf side of it, you see. So different routes of how we all got into the golf industry, although we are, 2 professionals and 2 in the media side of it. So different routes into the golf industry then. And that's what we're going to be looking at in this show, about the different jobs that you can get within the golf industry and how you can get yourself in there. And perhaps one thing which is going to crop up on many occasions is the contacts that you can pick up whilst you're playing the game, and how important they are going to be as we're going along.
Networking.
Right. Absolutely.
You've got it.
Right. Now, first things first, so let's hear from someone who I met actually only last November over in the UAE, and she was playing in a competition out there, and she had a fantastic opportunity, and she was playing in a match. It was just a 3-hole little match she was playing in. You'll like this girl because her name's Emily Leong. She's from Australia. This is her story about the match.
There we go.
About the match
drop in.
and about what happened after that. This is Emily.
An unforgettable experience. I lost the first hole, but then I made a thrilling long putt to win the second. The third hole ended up in a tie, so overall it was a square match. And that person that I played against was Sir Nick Faldo.
Just explain then how you had the opportunity to play a few holes with Sir Nick Faldo and also interview him as well. So how did that all come about?
Faldo series, they invited me to come to Dubai to do like more focusing on like the players and interview them throughout the week for their Europe Grand Final. And last time I saw Matt, it was in Vietnam in April last year, and I interviewed Sir Nick, just a one-on-one. It was just a sit-down interview, and to make it more interesting, I thought we could play like 3 holes with Sir Nick, and that would be like interesting content, and I thought that'd be really cool and fun.
What was the reaction to that? Because, to play alongside a 6 times major winner, not too many people get that opportunity to do that, and also to interview him as well as you're doing it as well.
I was like over the moon. I was like really excited. I was starstruck on the first hole. First hole wasn't that good for my golf, but I warmed up and I started relaxing a bit more.
Let's take us back then. So you mentioned there Vietnam. So you mentioned the fact that you'd done some work, you'd interviewed Sir Nick back in Vietnam. How did that come about then? Because you were playing that competition. So why were you interviewing Sir Nick Faldo if you were supposed to be playing in the event?
To get to Vietnam, I won a tournament in Australia, the 16 years and under age category in Australia for the girls, and then I represented Australia in Vietnam. So I played, and then so I was having we had a restaurant, and I was gonna have lunch after my first round of golf, and they just said, "Oh, you can sit at that table," and it was a 6 table, and then also on that table was Matt Faldo, and I was sitting there, and my mum and then Matt, and we were just chatting away, at lunch, and Matt was on his computer, and we said hello to Matt, and then he said, "Oh, his dad should be coming down for lunch soon," and I was like, "Soon?" And then Sir Nick Faldo comes and has lunch next to me. I was starstruck. And then I asked him if I could interview him, and then we did that after lunch. And he was so happy. He was really nice, and he said that he could continue doing an interview or podcast with him for an hour. He was really nice.
And was that the first time you'd ever really interviewed anyone, apart from perhaps your friends?
To get into the media, I interviewed Brafer Nasta. He's a Fox Sports commentator here in Australia, and since they were the media, it was a professional tournament, and the media team saw me interviewing Brafer Nasta, and they wanted me to interview the professionals in the next couple of days, and it aired on Fox Sports and KO in Australia and New Zealand.
Now you're a good golfer as well. So what's your handicap?
1.
1. Okay, so you can play the game as well. So there's that route whereby if you wanted to get into the golf industry, you could hopefully go down the playing side of it as well. But would it be fair comment to say that you're quite interested in getting in the media side of it as well? Is that true?
Yes, I really want to get into the media side because I love behind the scenes. I love editing. Yeah, it's really cool.
How thrilling, how important, how much did you take from what you got with the Faldo series, the opportunities that they gave you?
Yeah, Faldo series gave me a lot of opportunities, and I really I tried to take advantage of them all. I learned new skills that I'd never have to do. I did a lot of preparation. Faldo series gave me the opportunity to go behind the scenes of the DP World Tour, which was really cool, and see how things work. Because I always see Fox Sports, which is in Australia, it's only in Australia and New Zealand, whereas going to Sky Sports was very different. It's similar, but it's much bigger, and they have a lot more people working. Awesome cultural experience, the Arabian Night. I got to feature in the first few seconds on their reel, which was really fun. Riding a camel was definitely a highlight. And yeah, lots of opportunities. I got to work with you and the team. It was really cool working as a team in real life, whereas back in Sydney, or here, I'm only working with my school friends. So it was really cool to see what the workforce looked like when I graduate out of school.
And when you were at the DP World Tour event, which was the final, by the way, so it was the one which Rory won. He won the event, won the Order of Merit at the end of the season as well. So first of all, did you get the opportunity to see Rory play? And I understand as well that you interviewed someone quite big at that event as well.
Oh, yeah, I definitely watched Rory play. He was really cool. And I also got to interview Nick Doherty, and he was giving me lots of tips and he was saying that he looks at the camera and he focuses on that he's only entertaining one family, and like for example like a family of four, so he doesn't get like too like distracted or like too stressed out on like there's millions of people watching me right now. So I think that was a really good tip that I took away.
When you are interviewing Nick or Sir Nick Faldo, and you mentioned the phrase starstruck, was there a little bit of that when you were interviewing those people, in the sense of what am I doing here? Did you feel that at times?
Maybe I get nervous at the start, but then I like relax into it, and then it's like more like casual, and it's like I don't really think of them as a celebrity or like anymore. It's more just like a person and one-on-one talking.
So just to give people a bit of an idea, how did I help you? How did Joe help you? How did the other people with the Faldo Series event? How did they help you with what you were trying to do?
So you helped me. So you on the first day on the official practice round, so you took Joe and I out onto nearly every hole in the course, and you told us like the lighting, the best scenery, and like which places to get the best pictures or where to film from, which was really cool to see. Like if you're too close, the players might hear your clicks from the camera, which I thought was really interesting. And then just like having the mountains in the back and which like holes were the best like to capture scenes on were really cool. And Joe helped me. She like taught me like so like you can edit on like Instagram. I had never really used that feature that often because I always did my editing on my laptop. So that was really cool to learn.
You interviewed some of the players as well. We've got some footage of you when you've been interviewing some of the players before, during, and after the tournament as well. How important was it when you're dealing with people the same age as you? How easy or difficult was it to interview them?
I thought it was really easy to interview like people my age because or like some like people younger than me. I know like all their like language or their slang that they use. I know like some like 10-year-olds they use like cap and like all the other languages. So I know like their like sort of like language or like their literacy levels. And then like my age, like it was really easy and we can like gel on. So it was really cool.
So that was Emily Leon there from Australia. Fantastic experience for her to not only to meet Sir Nick Faldo, but to play as well, and also to gain all that experience out there. I'll come to Steve first of all, because we don't really want to go from one really talented Australian to another. So let's go to Steve first of all. What did you make of that then, Steve? I mean, that's a fantastic story, wasn't it? What the opportunity that she gained there, but also she earned it herself as well by showing a little bit of a bit of nous and asking the right questions at the right time to people.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've spoken to Matthew Faldo on numerous occasions in the past, and everything that they are all about is all about developing talent, developing the support to the juniors, and then moving them on to looking for careers and doing things. And anything that they can help you with, they will do. And it's a brilliant thing to see. We all know that juniors at golf courses don't get, in my opinion, what they should do to progress forwards. They're just put into the mix and let loose to do what they want. But to be honest with you, when it comes to having these organisations that do support them, that do help them, that do put them in the direction of where they need to go, and actually take some interest into what these young individuals can do, they do honestly and truthfully surprise people. And as you can see from what you've just seen in the video, that is one hell of a talented young girl moving forwards. Plus, she's also very good at golf with a 1 handicap.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so from one talented Australian to another in an hour. And I mean, what did you make of that then? I mean, it was a lovely story, wasn't it?
Oh, look, I think from the background of her to the experiences that she was given, to be able to hang out with Nick Doherty, be able to interview like Nick Faldo, but also to be around yourself as well, Steve, to show her how lighting works, what kind of best features to get in the background, but also the lighting of what videos to use. it's invaluable. And I think definitely from being in Australia, where literally, no joke, you are literally in the middle of nowhere, away from everywhere, where any flight is going to be a minimum of 10 to 12 hours. To have that opportunity to go to the UAE, I think is just fantastic for the Aussies too, for any Aussies, but for her to experience those different conditions, be able to speak to and see the best players in the world on the DP World Tour. I think it's fantastic. And from my experience being an Aussie moving now to England and having that step, you just don't believe until you see it.
Right, we are going to talk about college golf and the academic side of it as well. But we actually did a podcast, me and Ian, right the way back. This was actually the first podcast we did when we had people on the show, and we actually covered US college golf then. And our guest on that program, I had a chat with her earlier this week, and that is this girl here. Let's hear from her story, and then we'll talk about college golf then.
Hello, I'm Bailey Pike, and I was the first ever guest on the Progress Junior Golf podcast, and I was talking about going to college in America, and now I've been, and this is my experience. So I went to Iowa Western Community College. There's 3 different divisions. There is the NAIA, there's the NCAA, and then there's the NJCAA, and I went down the NJCAA. We spent hours and hours practicing. Mostly golf, but I majored in media, so I did television and video, and I graduated with an associate's degree. So I think everyone that goes to college in America to play golf has the ambition to play golf professionally on tour, but it is very important to also have sort of your backup plan. So I chose my degree in media, so that I could stick in golf and stay in the golf industry, but just do something else in it. And I enjoy creating and media, so that seemed like the best fit for me. So obviously spending 2 years practicing and improving and being around teammates that are better than you and playing against the guys that are better than you, you definitely improve. My first semester, I went in with the ambition of just playing my best. You get your baseline in your first semester, and then you can improve on that in your second, third, fourth. So I got my first college win in my second semester. I won quite a few. I think I have about 5 or 6 college wins. I played nationals twice, and I didn't do so well in the first one, but the second nationals,
So that's Bailey Pike there talking about her when she went away to college. Steve's trying to destroy his camera there, but we'll get to him in a second. Right, we'll come to you first then, Aaron, because we're going to get more in depth with Steve about exactly. But the coaches or the kids that you coach, presumably some of them have come to you and said about taking on and going to education, possibly in the States or even in the UK as well. What kind of advice do you give them?
Sorry, Steve. Sorry, can you repeat that question again? Sorry, mate.
Yeah, went a bit quiet, did it, on you then? Yeah. So, what if you have some kids who come up to you when you're doing your coaching? What kind of advice do you give them as far as going to college and looking not just at your golf but also your education as well when you're out there?
Oh, look, I definitely say school comes number one. Yeah, and I've got a number of kids at the moment. I've actually got one kid at the moment who's 16. He plays off 3.3. And I was actually having a chat with him and his parents and also himself about what they're planning to do in sixth form, which will then give him the best opportunity to what he wants to do. And obviously he wants to turn pro. So he's obviously looking at schools that will allow him to play golf in the UK. He's looking at the option of the US college, but also he's also doing something in the ways of, like, he's doing engineering. So he wants to get his engineering ticket as a backup. So then he can then go, right, I want to go have a crack at pro golf. If it doesn't work out, then he's got that engineering background. So I'm like, absolutely, I think that's an absolutely brilliant idea. Now it's just a matter of finding ideas of what to do that will best give him the best outcome initially in his sixth form. Moving forward, they're looking at US golf, but at the same time, yeah, he's looking at just making sure that he does his schooling and gets that finished and has high grades to get that done, and then he'll look at then potentially what he wants to do afterwards. But I think definitely that if you look at the US college golf system, it's like here in the UK with football. Yeah, everyone knows how good the UK is in the ways of football development. Golf in the UK, like other sports as well, and my wife's a tennis coach. She says exactly the very, very similar things in the ways of development, the ways of kids, and giving them after school opportunities like, say, college golf, US stuff, isn't up there in this country. So golf's kind of missing out. Other sports are missing out in the ways of that development. So that's where the leg up for the Div 1 players, Div 2, Div 3, where obviously different levels of those players get themselves up. But then at the end of that, they're coming out and going straight to tour.
Yeah.
Okay then, Steve. Let's talk about college golf in the US. Then we'll cover education in full, obviously, as we're talking about this. But just explain your role with ASM for a start, and what they do and how you work with them.
Yeah, so with ASM, how it came around is, of course, me being a golf professional and having the experience of dealing with people from all over the world. What happened was I basically contacted them, they contacted me, we discussed what would happen. And really what it is it's building the experience and the development and the pathway to actually give the opportunity for these talented young golfers to be able to fulfill their dream. But as Aaron said, focusing also on their studies, because if it doesn't work out, they need something to be able to fall back on. And would you believe it, when they actually go out to the States and they start these programs and basically play golf and do their studies, it's actually more stressful than a full-time job working in the UK or working in Europe or other parts of the world. They are working on I think altogether with their athletic studies and of course training and practicing, and then also their academic studying within the college or the university. They're doing around about 80 hours. Now, I'm not being funny. Most people work 35 or 40 hours a week, and that's about it.
You're supposed to be selling this as something to do here, Steve.
Hey, no, but but the benefits are unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm not being funny. You can look. I mean, this is where a lot of parents get confused about colleges and universities in the States. When it comes to companies like ASM, they give you all the details that you need about doing, of course, the scholarship. You actually start looking for what you want to do from the age of 14. And you can actually go from the age 14 all the way up to 24. And as long as you, of course, want to study something that is available to be studied at the colleges and the universities in the States, and of course you have the correct handicap to get in. Now, I know this is going to sound crazy. Somebody who's a 14, who's a +2 handicap, every college and university in the States want to get hold of them because the colleges want them. The coaches want them. But you can still be somebody who's 20 years of age and off a handicap of 4 or 5 and still get a placement. And it is all about building that wonderful pathway of going, well, I've got a chance of fulfilling my dream of playing professional golf. And as Aaron said, finishing your studies and then turning pro and going straight on tour. And because you're playing at the highest standard of golf in the States, being part of the NCAA, the NAIA, the NJCAA and the CCCAA, all of these organizations are all well known with the big companies, Titleist, TaylorMade, Ping. They all know these players. They're all seeing the top coaches. So it's not like they're just being thrown in the deep end. They are getting literally trained from scratch to be able to be this sort of player. They understand the media side. They get trained in it, which, Steve, you know all about. They get trained with the best coaches. They have condition training for their body. They have nutrition training. They have the best medical care that you can imagine. it is literally like being a professional sports man or woman or boy or girl having this opportunity to do something like this in the States, and it is absolutely phenomenal. And if you ever have a chance to go out and see the colleges or universities, they are absolutely unbelievable. They surpass any facility that you would probably find in the UK or Europe.
Now, when I went away to university, I didn't do golf or anything like that. But the word that I used when I learned how to live when I went away to university. And that's something which you're talking about, the golf side of it and learning how to become a better player and things like that. But the life skills that they're going to learn whilst doing that as well is going to be invaluable.
Unbelievable.
You're going to say something, Aaron?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you look at Steve made a very good point there about the guys who do go through those systems over in the US, is that, I always, this is when we're talking about this kind of stuff, one thing comes to my brain straight away at the front, and that's, when Jordan Spieth was 18, 19, playing on the PGA Tour, and that bunker shot at the John Deere Classic to get into a playoff, won the playoff, and then the first interview that he did on the 18th green when he won, how well did he speak? They are literally trained by the best in the business of how to speak in front of a camera, being interviewed by somebody who's in the media, what answers, how to answer, what your voice has to do, at what pitch, at what level, what information you actually want to give out, and how it comes across to the public that are watching it, because that public that are watching it are going to be potential future sponsors, business backers, fans. So your fan audience then starts growing because of how these young 18, Justin Thomas, Aberg, all these guys that were 18, 19, 20 when they first came out onto the US PGA Tour had all of that media training behind them from those colleges over there. You look at the English, the Europeans, great players. A lot of those European guys have gone to US, sure, but easily tell who's been professionally media trained and who hasn't. And that's not a dig on anybody. That's not a dig on the European boys at all. But you can how they speak, but definitely how also, pauses. Those guys in the US, there's no.
Okay, just on that point, here's a quick question for both of you then. Have you ever had any media training, either of you two?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a yes and a no there. So I've actually done some media training with junior golfers. I did it with a county team, and there was a young golfer actually who's since gone back out. The parents are from South Africa, since gone back out to South Africa now, and I hope John is watching, because good to see you if you are out there. But I came in and did some schooling with him and his friends, because they weren't schooled, they were homeschooled. And the way that I did it was, although it was media training from my point of view, I taught them how to do a job interview. So the same things that Aaron was just pointing out there, whereby talking properly, saying the right things at the right time, varying the way that you say something, using hand gestures, the various things whereby if you can walk into a job interview and do any of those things, you're more likely to get that job than you are not get that job. And going back to talking about the college side of it, when they're trying to get into those colleges, how important is it when they're doing that interview with those colleges? How much notice do they take of the actual personality of the person who's stood in front of them, as opposed to the person who can go out there and shoot 75 or whatever on a golf course?
Mm-hmm. If you've got say two players, and one's at like plus handicap and is introverted, quiet, likes to do his business or her business, just that. But then you've got a guy or a girl of say 3 or 4 handicap, but is confident in front of the camera, can speak to someone, can take them into any room where they don't know a soul in that room and start conversations with different people. I would probably say, and Steve Hughes, correct me if I'm wrong, they're probably going to go the higher handicapper because of the persona that
Yeah.
that person is giving off and the confidence they show that can actually get them a longer way. Now, going off that with myself, I've had no training whatsoever. Steve said he has, and obviously, Steve, you do that training. I've picked up my confidence speaking in front of the camera by doing my golf, my limited but small golf content. Me speaking to a camera by myself and doing it over and over and over again, might get it first go, might get it 10 goes. That's how I got my confidence to speak in front of the camera, which is now allowing me to obviously do this with you right now, which has allowed me to meet you, Steve Jackson, and now meeting Steve Hughes, but now has opened many doors to obviously meeting Ian. Now, if Ian Waterhouse, when he first met me at the 2020 Pro Tour, when I was walking down the 18th hole at Woodsum Hall back 4 years ago, I was walking down the fairway at 100 mile an hour, about 50 yards in front of all my players. Ian's walked across. Now, I could have given him the hand gesture and said, "Nah, mate, walk away." But I actually started walking towards him to actually start the conversation myself, not for him to start the conversation. So that's kind of my personality. And obviously, everyone's very different from different regions of the world.
So go back to the point that you made there, Aaron, about okay, Ian's going to come here, so carry on.
Yeah, if you can hear right, but my bandwidth's a bit free, but I just wanted to touch on that point from a media standpoint. And Stephen, you touched on it very well there. And when you walked across, you've never met before, and Aaron comes across, and golf can be a little bit funny at times, can't it? You know, you don't know who's up to talk, you don't know who isn't. Now, when you get a green light from a player like that from Aaron, I know that Aaron can always approach Aaron now. So whenever I go forward, and we did the next 2020 Pro Tours, if you look at them, I know I can always rely on Aaron to get an interview out of, because there's nothing worse when you're live and you're trying to talk to a player and they push you aside. But I know that Aaron's in the next group. And I don't just present it, I was doing broadcasting as well. So I was in charge of the content that we were doing. So I would look at where are we going to be? We're doing it off one camera. So I'm thinking, right, I want to be at the fourth hole. It's a par 3 signature hole. Aaron's coming through in 2 groups' time. We want to be there for Aaron to come through. So at least I know I'm going to get, worst case, I'm going to get Aaron on camera. So we do, from a media standpoint, if you are open to us, you will get more media attention because we will make a beeline for you. So it's that simple.
I'm just turning it back to stay on the call here, Ian, because I just want to bring your point of view here. Staying on the point of the juniors here, when I was doing the interview with Bailey, and we will hear the second part of the interview as well a little bit later on, but when I was talking to Bailey about yourself, and she was saying about, Ian grabbed me I could see him running towards me on the golf course to do an interview, and her immediate reaction was, "Oh no, I'm going to have to do an interview." But you wouldn't know that when you did the interview with her, and she said the same thing, in the sense that she still came across okay and everything like that. But the immediate fear was, "Oh my God, I've got to do an interview," and that's obviously someone who is now trying to go on and become in the industry. You see, so you can get over those nerves by putting yourself into that situation, can't you?
Yeah. Well, I think that was,
and that's what Aaron did, and it's great, and it's great.
Right, just finally, or just on this point,
go ahead, Aaron. I was
Steve Hughes. Then just
saying, yeah.
There's a bit of a delay on Ian there, but
I think so.
Yes, right. We'll just come with Steve then here. Then, so just going back to the point of the college golf, and then and the obviously being able to express yourself and do the interviews and things like that. Just briefly, then explain what is the process of someone seeing that person for the first time. How do they get onto a course then? What do they have to go through to get there?
Yeah, so it's a little bit like applying for a visa to go out and work in another country. There's a lot of different checklists that need to, of course, go ahead and do. But normally the first things that you look at is, as we've been saying, what is the individual individual like talking to? Are they outspoken? Do they have good manners, etc., etc.? You get to hopefully meet the parents. You talk to them like we are now doing a podcast. But then, of course, from there, you look at their qualifications, as in what have they done at school, how they're getting on, where are they starting to look at proceeding themselves, what sort of grades are they going to get. And then from there onwards, looking at the checklist and finding out what they've got and what haven't they've got, and how you can support them to get what they actually need to be able to start applying and looking at going over, of course, to America on these scholarships. And then really from there onwards, it's all about the connection and the opency that you have between player or junior, the coaches and the family. And it is literally from there, it's all about support, development and building the correct pathway for this junior and the parents to understand this is what they're going to be doing and this is what is required of them. And if that is something that they're happy in doing, then we can move this forward. If it's not, then we have to look at other options, because this is where it gets a little bit awkward. You have Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, then you've got Senko. There's lots of different things that happen with all of these different colleges and universities, and they will have different requirements that they all have for themselves to get into these colleges and universities. So once this, let's say Joe contacts me directly, who's off a +2 handicap, and he's 16 years of age and he wants to be in Division 1 in America, going to, I don't know, say Stanford, same as places Tiger went, and he wants to go there, and that's the only place he wants to go, and he wants to study financial studies, or financial development in banks, etc., etc. For him to do that, he's got to have literally the best grades you can possibly ask from basically your GCSEs or your A levels before he would be able to go. It doesn't matter how good his golf is, and it also doesn't matter what he's doing at the time. He has to make sure that these requirements are met, because because of the college system and the university system in the States, they want you to succeed, not to fail. And as Aaron said before, look at Jordan Spieth, for example, when he came out of university, how well spoken he was, his demeanor, how he was around people. And what a lot of people don't know is actually Jordan Spieth actually has a degree as well.
Actually, this is the point I was going to say. We obviously are talking about getting into the golf industry, and we talked a lot about getting into the media side of it, because obviously the two guests on it, that's the route that they want to go down. But how many different opportunities are there? Where could they go? I mean, let's greenkeeping. You know, you could be a PGA professional. You could be.
It's endless.
The list is as long as you. Try and give us an indication here where you could go.
Course management, general manager. There's so many. Go on, Aaron. I'll let you do this one.
Club fitting, club building, teaching. You've got business management. You've got club management. You've got corporate management. So in the ways of actual golf club management, you can go into being a golf club GM, corporate, those kind of things. Then you look at your pro shop kind of atmosphere, club builder, club maker, club fitting, to work for the companies like the Titleist and reps.
Yeah.
Then you've got being a rep for a company. So you actually going in and speak to pro shops and golf pros about, hey, I want you to put our gear in your pro shop. So you're then trying to sell the product to the pros. And then, Steve, you did mention it. Then you move into greenkeeping. So then you've got your horticulturists, your actual greenkeepers, being an assistant greenkeeper, being a head greenkeeper, being like then you've got even looks at away from, say, golfers as such, but like being a mechanic. But then you could be a mechanic that works on a golf club, because they need all the machines, the fairway mowers, the greens mowers, the turf irons. They all need to be kept mechanically sound. So there's the arms. Like if you've got a circle of that says golf,
find a diagram.
As Steve Hughes will back me up here. You've probably got about maybe 15, 20, 25 arms that go off that. But then those arms will potentially have one or two or three arms of themselves that that makes up the golf industry of us, like what Steve and I do. We're just a small snippet. And as I said, like I work at obviously I work across 2 golf clubs, and there's a young guy, a great example. It was funny. I was actually talking to him today. I said, "Mate, I'm going to make you a perfect example in tonight's podcast." Now, he's come out of high school and he's gone. Steve. He's actually gone to America to be a caddy, right? So he's gone over to America to caddy for a couple of years. Again, you're going to ask me where. I'm going to tell you I've gone blank. But then he's come home, and now he's working in the pro shop. Now he's the pro shop manager in the shop there. So he's running the pro shop. I'm head pro, but he's pro shop manager. He said everything in the pro shop he runs. Now from that position of being, and plus he plays off 1 handicap. So he's a great golfer. He's been a caddy. Now he's also now running a pro shop. Now, what he's doing now, funnily enough, is that he's actually applied for 2 or 3 jobs in England Golf, in tournament organising and tournament coordinating, and also in being like coordinating of a certain county or area of England. But he's now got the CV to apply for these jobs because he's 23, 24 years of age. And he's got experience of like a 30-year-old outside the golf industry, but within the golf industry, he's done so much in such a little time. So, yeah, I went down the straight path of, I knew it. And it was funny, Steve Hughes, you said before, from age 14, 15, kind of kids start getting, colleges start seeing and earmarking, right, we want to watch him, watch her. Okay, we're going to watch him. I made the decision at age 16 that I want to do a PGA traineeship. So I wanted to turn pro, but I wasn't going to go through just finish school, go to tour school. I wanted background. I wanted my qualification of being a golf pro behind me. So then when I finished that PGA traineeship, and it's exactly what I did, I went then to Australasian Tour School. Yeah. Incredibly, I got my tour card for 12 months. Lost my tour card, enough money. But after that year had finished, my goal was always to be on a tour for a year. My life was tick. So then I went, right, now, what's my next job in life within the golf industry? But because I've got my PGA ticket and my PGA card sitting in my wallet, I could have picked anywhere in the world, any job I wanted. All right, it might have taken me a while to go into a few different areas, but I could have worked up that ladder. But I chose to go, and I wanted to go straight back into what I was my traineeship at, being a golf pro at a golf club, a teaching pro, and being around club members and around a golf club society and in that kind of place. And that's where now I've been a golf pro 20 years now, and that's where I've been now in that area for 20 years. Would I change anything? Would I change that path? Would I get out of my lane and move into another lane? Absolutely not. I've got my lane.
Right. We are going to move on now. We're going to hear the second interview with Bailey Park, and then we're going to talk about what Progress Junior Golf can do for junior golfers to try and get them into the industry, because we're not just out there. I know Steve loves to call the Progress Junior Golf Tour, but we are not just a tour, because we are there to help juniors in all sorts of different ways, including trying to help them get into the golf industry. Let's hear more from Bailey then, because she's going to explain a little bit about her journey from now onwards then, and how Progress Junior Golf are going to help her. This is Bailey.
The media side of it, the 2-year course that I took aims to prepare you to jump straight into live television. So we learned everything from broadcasting to covering events around campus. So a lot of my experience was pick up the camera, pick up the tripod, go to this event, learn hands-on. And I'd say that was the best for me. I graduated with honors, which is just all A's and B's in your classes. So I won a qualifying event in the Faldo series that allowed me entry into the European Grand Final. in Alain, which was really cool. The golf course was incredible. I did not like the 10th hole, but I don't think anyone liked the 10th hole. So we got to meet Sir Nicholas Faldo at Alain, and he actually hosted this clinic where he was sort of giving us things to work on over the winter, and we were allowed to like stay back, and he'd give us sort of like a one-on-one and go through everyone, which was really cool. Super, super nice of him to like give us his time. But during this clinic, I had quite a good spot. I was sitting like directly behind him, and I just took a picture on my phone while he was sort of in his backswing, and I posted it on my Instagram story. And it got noticed by Matthew Faldo, his son, and I commented on how I wanted to get into the media. I just didn't sort of know how to do it. And he'd been talking to us about how if we had any sort of career in golf that we wanted and they could help, then that's what they'd be doing. And so he actually asked me if I wanted to sort of be one of the photographers for the Faldo Series events this year, which is really cool to just take a picture and then that's the outcome of it. I also got the opportunity to work with Progress Junior Golf and sort of be one of the photographers at their events. My aim is just to do as much of them as I can, to be able to gain as much experience and work with the organizers at the events. I feel like I can go into working with the Progress Junior Golf team as someone that has grown up playing in all of these sorts of different junior tours. So I kind of know what the junior wants from it. I kind of know what the parents want from it based on what my parents and grandparents wanted from me playing in these tournaments. And so if I'm able to deliver something that both the Progress Junior Golf Tour team and the players are wanting to get out of it, in terms of, I mean, parents just want nice pictures and videos of their kid playing some good golf, and so if I can deliver that, then that's the aim. So I'll be working with the team for the next year, and I'm hoping that this gives me as much experience as I can get, and I hope that I can also improve my own skills in both photography and videography and be able to just deliver the best work that I can. And towards the end of it, hopefully I'll have my own portfolio that I'm able to show different potential clients.
So that's Bailey there talking about what she's going to be doing this year with Progress Junior Golf. Absolutely. Now, first I have to say is those two videos, that the packages there, Bailey produced those herself. So I did an interview with her and she put the whole package together there as well. So there's someone there who's got some talent straight away. And like she said right away from the start there, she just needs the opportunity to, when she spoke to Matthew Faldo, just needs the opportunity to try and get out there and show what she can do. And that's where the Progress Junior Golf are going to come in, give her the opportunity to hopefully get it out there to show. So some of the ideas that we've got is she's going to be coming on some of the events. I'm hopeful that she's might be able to come along to one of your Ace Tour events as well, Aaron, so she can get some photos for you guys as well. She's going to come along, get some videos. She's going to be doing some podcast videos for ourselves, and she, Steve, whereby she's going to be doing some stuff. We're going to be doing some stuff about nutrition. She's going to be going and doing some videos for us with that as well. So lots of things whereby trying to give her the opportunity to gain some experience, but at the same time, we as Progress Junior Golf will get something back. I've also already, hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, sourced a website. Some guy has come in and said that he would do a website for her for free for the first year. So give her the opportunity to get that portfolio out there. So there's opportunities there which we are trying to give, not just to Bailey, but for other people as well. So that's the type of thing which we're trying to do as well. I know that Steve is keen to do similar things as well on different aspects of what we're trying to do as well. If you will explain what we might be doing over the course of the year.
Say that again, sorry.
What opportunities do you think that we should be giving giving some of the kids this year? I know you've thought about bringing in some ambassadors and trying to do that side of things as well.
Yes, I mean, one of the things that I've been lucky to do, this happened last year with the Golf Sixties with the Golf Foundation. We had a few of our juniors that went on to TV. And as we said before, outspoken juniors, they are the first people to put their hand up. They want to do things, they want to move forwards and everything else. And they come out of the crowd. In other words, they pop out, you see them. And as we were talking about before about how many jobs there are available, and et cetera, one of the things that I always think that would be a great opportunity is to give these juniors an opportunity to actually see sort of what the jobs or careers that they're actually going to get in the industry, or what they're going to be striving to actually do as they get older. So, for example, one of the things that I want to set up is for some of the juniors to go to the Ping factory up in Gainsborough and go and see how golf clubs are made. And it might generate 4 or 5 of the juniors to have open their eyes to how golf clubs are made, and it might make them become the next scientists of golf clubs and make us hopefully hit the golf ball a bit better and a bit further. I'll be happy with that. Going on to, as you said before, Aaron, caddies. We're the only country in the world, I think. I mean, Scotland, I think, do it. I'm not 100% sure. We don't have a caddy program. You go to other places in the world, they have caddies. They actually get trained to be caddies and get paid for it. We don't have it. I don't think we have it in England. I think they might do it in Scotland, but I'm not 100% sure. Then, of course, as Aaron said earlier, club fitters. I want to come to events and I want to, talk to the juniors and the parents there and actually explain to them about what clubs actually do when you hit a golf ball, and do you have the correct clubs, and it links into them being custom fitted themselves, having the experience, understanding it. But then they realise that custom fitting is linked to physics. It's learned to the development of golf balls. It does this, it does that.
Biomechanics.
You've got it in what? Biomechanics. I love biomechanics. I teach people with biomechanics, and I say to them, if you physically cannot do this, then you physically can't hit a golf ball the way you want to. So we have to find a way around it. But with biomechanics is, if your body is capable and it has no disabilities or no major injuries in its body type, you can actually work and learn and develop your golf swing to become very effective. But the amount of people that you speak to have absolutely no idea about what you're talking about. It'd be great to educate the youngsters of today who play this game and play it really well, and actually give them all of this information so they can make their own choices about what they want to do. And one thing that we haven't spoken about, which would be really cool, and I think with the contacts that we've all got, we might be able to get it set up, is looking at course architecture, how golf courses are actually made. And
well, it's funny you mentioned that. Bailey was a little critical of the course out there, so perhaps a junior's perspective on it, it's something which golf course architects need.
Yeah, you've got it one. And then, of course, I'm not on this, what you said earlier, Aaron, about golf director. The golf director does so much in a golfing establishment. There's so much to learn and know and to develop themselves as a person, so they can make their job easier. So
just talk about Aaron. Just talk about the ACE Tour and about how you might be able to incorporate some of the ideas which we've come up with there about how you might be able to develop some of the kids there, because they're younger kids, some of the ones that you're going to be looking after, aren't they, with your tour?
Yeah, so I've got across the age groups that I've got playing at my tour starting in April is, I've got under 10s, under 13s, under 15s, and under 18s. A majority of the kids that are all playing across the 13s, 15s, 18s, are all members of golf clubs. They've all got handicaps and they've all got coaches. So in that respect, what I'm trying to give the opportunity for them is to play more and play more competition, put them in pressure situations. Now, some of these kids, and there's probably a couple or a few kids that are going to be playing in my tour that have played representative golf in the ways of, junior opens and all that stuff. But there's going to be a number of kids that have either just got handicaps or have played 1 or 2 seasons of club junior golf. This is potentially going to be their first time playing competitions outside of their golf club. So it's that experience of, okay, I'm on a golf course I don't know. I have to adapt to different golf course construction, different greens, different surroundings, and also, and I'm out here with other kids that I don't know, that I'm meeting for the first time. So, and then in the ways of the kids that are under 10s, it's giving them a platform of competition golf because, and as Steve brought up before, like golf sixes, and I play at Blackwell and Richmond. I got golf sixes teams at both those clubs. So for the last 3 or 4 years, I've had those kids playing, but it's been a great platform for me. I've got my kids comps on my little 6-hole course that I built. Talking about architecture before, Steve. I actually built my own little 6-hole golf course. Not great, but hey, it doesn't work. But from that little project of playing competitions all through the year, they then go on to the next level of me then picking them for golf sixes, which then from golf sixes, they're getting to that age where I go, right, now you can move to the blue course on the main course and then play around the blue course, get your confidence, get your tires pumped up. Then you know what? Go for your handicap. Then you start playing competition golf. Then all of a sudden they move on to club junior golf. So that's, I think from my point of view, from my tour, I think for me, it's just giving opportunity.
Yeah.
B, giving the opportunity to the kids that haven't played outside their own golf course to give them other golf course, but local golf course experience. But also then platform for, say, the guys that are playing all those events that are trying to hit that England Golf County Championship kind of level. This is going to be a great little practice, like kind of stepping stones for them to take their competition golf to the next level. So they're the main things, that I'm hoping to construct and the blueprint of what I want to try and give to the kids that are playing in my tour.
Think about all the things you've mentioned there, though, and I use the phrase pretty much from the start of this show is life skills, and the life skills that you'll learn when you're at university. What I learned when I learned how to live when I was at university, didn't do a great deal of studying, I have to say, did quite a lot of drinking. Wouldn't advise that's a good idea, but that's what I did. But I learned how to live. I learned how to live badly, and also by doing that, I learned by my mistakes and learned how to. Your son as well. There, very young kids. They're learning the life skills of playing with different kids, playing on different environments, playing in places whereby you feel a little bit wary of. I'm not sure of this. Now they're the type of things that they're going to need to do when they get into the job industry. So they're the kind of skills whereby if you're building them up at the age of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, when they get to your point, Steve, whereby they're thinking about going to college in the US, they've got some of those skills already in place by being in competitions at a very young age. And also, I'm sure this is the case as well, but making those competitions fun as well. So therefore, at the same time, they don't even know they're learning. They're learning in a fun environment.
Yeah, you've got it.
Yep.
I'll give you a perfect example of something which I'm looking to do with Progress Junior Golf this year. Is I'd like to get the juniors to do the starting. So don't get an adult stood there going on the first tee. This is it. Let's get the juniors doing it. So I tested it out. I tested it out on Sunday. I was there for a county coaching session. There's only 3 groups, but there was this young lad, and I left it to the last group. I just got 1 group to do it. And this young lad, who I know is confident young lad. So I said, you'll do the starting for me. Go and announce all the players. So of course he announced the 3 players. And one of the lads has got a very, an Asian lad, got a very difficult surname to pronounce. And he made a complete mess of it, like you'd say. Tried it 3 times kind of thing. And it was funny. But when he then went up to hit his T-shirt, I said to Ash, right, you can announce Logan now. So, of course, he got his own back, announced him and made a complete mess of his name deliberately, you see. So in a fun way, if you're looking at it in a way whereby Ash might have thought, didn't particularly enjoy that, someone getting my name wrong. But I gave him the immediate opportunity to get his own back in a fun environment, you see. So therefore, both of them walked away from that, walked down the fairway thinking, that was quite good fun, you see. But at the same time, got both of them to speak in front of 2 other, 4 kids and adults as well stood there, you see. So it was a simple way, but a fun way of getting them to learn those skills of being able to stand up in front of people as well. And so I'm looking to do that this year. And also do the presentations as well afterwards. Let's get the kids doing the presentations afterwards. They don't want those old fuddy-duddies doing the presentation. Let's get the kids doing I'll tell you what, they're going to be a lot more fun than the ones that we do as well, won't they?
But it's really good that you mentioned that, Steve, because it's that kind of, it's the public speaking aspect. Now,
Cheers.
obviously, I think in the last 5 years since COVID, and I think it's been quite difficult to get transition out of that kind of mentality. But public speaking, I don't think, and I don't know about you, Steve, but I think in schools, public speaking is not addressed enough.
No,
Because you get guys and girls that come out of school and they're 18 years of age. So
Yeah.
they're adults. And you can't put them in front of 10 people, let alone 100 or camera. So I think that's and that's something as well. I mean, and I don't want to sit here all night talking about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, but that's what also a big thing that I do with my elite development crew. And this moves into you, Steve, with what I'm trying to achieve, which then moves up to what you do, is I've got 11, 12, 13 and 14-year-old kids in my elite development program who we do, we have classes on a Sunday evening through winter for an hour and a half twice a month, and then through the summer 3 hours of an afternoon once a month. They're in the gym 3 times every Monday doing gym work with the personal trainer, working with nutritionists and getting physio screened throughout the year. Now, obviously, I've been doing this now 3 years, so I've had like 3 years of my development program. Now, the majority of my development program kids then get picked for county, which is quite cool. But in those program that I do, everything that we've really spoken about in the ways of getting them to think about how they can better themselves, what they want to do, how they want to do it, and why they want to do it. And I think the why is very, very important, because I want to know from them that they want to do it and why they want to do it. And if they come up with a really good answer, but an answer that they've thought about, you know that they've thought about it and they've thought about it for a long time. So you know exactly what kid wants to do, either play golf or do something outside of golf, but wants to keep golf as a really high hobby. Yeah. So it is what it is really, really important. But going back to my very first point, the public speaking aspect, and this is what I try and get them to do. Funnily back to what my program, I get them to talk when we have our group start a demo. I ask them questions, and I get them to give me in-depth answers. Okay, what did you play the other day? How did you play? What did you do? And they have to rattle through in front of the whole in class and parents how they did it, what they did great, what they didn't do great.
Yeah.
In front of all of them. And I think that's a big thing.
So, Aaron, what you've said there is, if you link sports, and we're of course talking about golf at the moment, if you link it to learning, a child will learn as soon as it's born. It will start to learn smells and everything else. As the little one starts to get older, as they get to like 2, 3, and 4, they develop very quickly and they start to understand things, and they have different characteristics of how they learn, either visual, either doing kinetic movements, motor skills, etc., etc. But we as golf coaches, probably not you, probably not me, all say, oh, no, I can't have little Johnny until he's 7 or 8 years of age. By the time that has happened, his skills are not developed enough for him to even be able to pick up a golf club and swing a golf club. So he's way behind everybody else. And if we could, in the industry, start to realize that we can start coaching these juniors in different age groups and different abilities and different learning skills, and teach these motor skills from a young age, moving up into what you've just been speaking about. Why are you doing this? What is the outcome? What do you want to do this? How do you want to do this? Etc. etc. One, it would make our lives very easy, which would be nice. But also, the child would have a clear picture of what they want to do and how they would want to do it. And you do see it with certain coaches and certain organizations, but sorry to say, as Steve probably knows this as well, it's not something that is done. There are stepping stones that follow from a young age, learning to play golf, to the elitist level of what you coach and what I do over in the States, etc., etc. But on the way there, some of the stepping stones have disappeared.
Yeah.
And for you to get them back or to put them back, it is a lot of hard work. And this is why golf or junior golf has struggled for many, many years, because there are certain certain entities or certain levels of development that have either not been thought about or have been taken away. And this is why the retention of junior golf is a lot lower than what it should be.
I mean, there should be a question put up for obviously for future podcasts, not right now. But I think it's a question that needs to be asked, especially in England. And this happens in Australia, but why aren't in the UK high schools have golf programs? Why do we not have schools from years 9, 10, 11 in those 3 years? Why don't we have in the UK government high schools with an arm on the side that's excellence in golf? Now, I went to a school that actually I did golf as a subject for years 10, 11, 12. I actually was able, and I was very fortunate, but I had to be selected. I had to go, like you said before, Steve, I had to go to an interview.
Yes.
And I was interviewed for a spot in the program at this school to do golf. Now, I got a spot. I did it for 3 years. In this country, there's nothing of it. Yes, there's colleges, sixth form, as you guys call it over here.
Yes.
You can do golf as a sidearm, but you've got to be doing something like engineering or something like this, but then golf's on the side. But why aren't there actual high schools? And Steve Jackson, I'd love for you to try and find someone in the education system in this country that could actually answer this. Why don't we have more high schools, whether private or public, offering golf as a excellence program? Because Steve Hughes just knocked on the head. There are holes in development in golf. We lose the kids in those holes. And this is where we lose girls.
Oh, yes. 100%.
It's on our radar, isn't it, for Progress Junior Golf? Just briefly on that point, we did actually do a podcast a little while ago on schools golf, and I think it was a story I raised when I spoke to Ian about this back then. Is I went to school from the age of 8 to 14, two separate schools, and there was a golf course 200 yards down the road from both of those schools, and not once did we ever go to play golf at that golf course. A little 9-hole golf course would have been absolutely perfect. Walk there, walk back. You could have played as many holes as you want in the hour and a half, whatever you had time there. Never once did that opportunity ever come up in any of the time that I was ever at school. The
school that I went to, 7 high schools that had golf excellence programs, and we met 4 times a year at competitions against each school.
Right, that wraps up this podcast as far as talking about junior golf and trying to get people into the junior golf industry. We do have one last thing to cover, though. We are going to cover the junior golf news as well. So if you just want to stay with us, then we'll go through that. Competitions taking place. Not been many, as you can appreciate. Obviously, it's been a little bit cold. Not as cold as, well, certainly not as warm as down in Australia. Anyway, that's a guarantee on that one. But there have been some competitions. The US kids, they had an event at North London Tour, played at Pinner Hill in Hertfordshire, and then another one at Chesfield Downs. I told you earlier about the lad who was trying to do the starting and made a bit of a mess of the pronouncing the name here. So wait for my attempts at some of the names of the guys who do well in this competition.
Good luck.
So Ray D1, he won the under-8 with shot 4 of a par score. What a great name this is. When you look back now and you go Tiger, that's a fantastic golf name. But probably at the time you were like, wow, that's a bit. Rhino Salisbury, what a great name that is. That's a name for the future. Rhino Salisbury, he shot 3 over par.
That is mint. That's good. I like it.
Another great name, Summer Torrance was the leading girl in that competition.
Wow.
At Chesfield Downs, Henry Phillips, Nyan Darwin, which I presume is a relative of Reeves, so that's quite good. The fact that they both won a competition there, and Darcy Williams also with a 1 over par score. So Darcy was the lowest score in that. Right, now we are going to show some. I think got some a photo or a graph of what competitions have been coming up in February. Anything which catches your eye there? What events in February? Any venues there which you go, wow, I'd like to play there or have played there?
Knightsbrook Irish Junior Open.
Yeah.
And North Berwick. If you look at North Berwick in Scotland,
definitely.
That's
North Berwick.
Yeah, that's probably got one of the most unusual holes you'll ever play, which actually got a wall directly in front of the green, which I remember when I played it, I managed to put it 1 inch away from the wall. So they're the events in February. Then I think we've actually got the events in March as well, and you'll probably see that there's a lot more actually in March, which you would expect. Any there catch your eye? As you can see, North Berwick once again on there, so there's quite a few playing events
Hollandwell
in Scotland.
I
did
of
course, yes,
for the Open there in 2023. Brilliant golf course. And also March 17th, Howley Hall. What a brilliant golf course that is.
Of course, Steve, we should point out the one on March the 23rd there, Charnwood Forest. That's the Progress Junior Golf, the first event of our series this year.
Yes.
Little 9-hole competition. I actually went there early this morning just to check it out. It looks in great condition, so that's going to be great for this year. Right, just one other news story as well then. England Golf Awards have been taking place, or they've announced the nominations. Lots of different categories for this. I know you know these awards very well, Aaron, because you won one year, didn't you?
I did. I was lucky enough to. I won the Participation and Development Coach of the Year back in 2022.
Right, and there are 2 people within that category this year, 2 I know very well. Hannah Crump, who's at Stonebridge Golf Club in Warwickshire, she's been one of the nominees. Harvey Couchman down in North Foreland, and Darren Stratman, who you may know, Steve, as well, who's the boss of Chinnigipper Clothing as well. So well on to those 3. So congratulations, and I hope that goes well. Some of the other categories as well: Club of the Year, Aberdale, Potters Resort, and Shirley Golf Club, which is in Warwickshire, another one which is hosting one of the Progress Junior Golf events this year, or I'm actually running the Junior Open on their behalf as well. County of the Year, Cheshire, Lancashire, and Hampshire. Now, Hampshire run a really good Champions Tour and Mini Tour for juniors, and I think they've been nominated on the back of the work with junior golf there. Respecting Golf Award, Walmley, once again, another course in Warwickshire, Scratch Women, and Woolley Park. The Facility of the Year, this is one whereby you probably know about, Steve. So there's the HUKD up in Lancashire, Need Golf Centre in Cheshire, and Three Hammers in Staffordshire. And I'm sure it's a venue you've been to, Steve, isn't it? I mean, that's a fantastic facility, isn't it?
It's from what it was when I first went there and hit a few golf balls many moons ago when I was a little bit younger, of course, to what it is now. It is it's unbelievable. It's a state-of-the-art facility. It has everything that you can possibly need to basically improve your golf, which is unbelievable.
Sustainability Project of the Year, Bidston, Birchwood Park, and Northants are going for that. We will be covering sustainability in junior golf in the next podcast. We'll explain a little bit more about that in a few moments. Women and Girls Trailblazer, Hannah Morrison, Sally Benton, and Scratch Women again. Performance of the Year, some juniors involved with this one. So the England girls team have won the first European Girls Team Championship for 19 years. They went over in Sweden. They've been nominated. Lottie Woad, who's been mentioned on many occasions on this podcast. Dominic Clements and Kit Poppert. Tournament of the Year as well. The Carrish Trophy, which was held at Ormskirk, and the Reed Trophy, which was held at West Sussex. That's the boys under 18s and the boys under 14s. They're up for that nomination. And Townbridge Park as well. Townbridge Golf Club, which held the English girls under 16s and under 14 stroke play championship. And just finally, the one where we've got some photos of 2 of the 3 candidates here. The Young Person of the Year, which is one where we do have a really good interest in this, supported by the Golf Foundation, who are big supporters of the Progress Junior Golf podcast. Megan Grimwood, who has been on the Progress Junior Golf podcast. She was on a couple of years ago. There's Megan playing in the Alexis Brown Golf Foundation Day, which takes place at Nailcott Hall. She's been nominated. She's a member at Kirby Muxloe Golf Club. Ruby Fox has also been nominated as well. And George Cornell as well. Got a photo of George as well. He's a member at Kenilworth Golf Club and the Warwickshire in Warwickshire. And I know George very well. He's actually not a junior anymore. His last year was a junior last year, but that's a lad. And going back to what we were talking about in this podcast, that's a lad who has gone on. He had learning difficulties while he was growing up as a junior, and has now joined the PGA course and is trying to become a professional golfer as well. So that's the perfect example, really, of what we're talking about, as someone who didn't get on particularly well at school, struggled, with studies and things like that, and golf kind of like was his savior. And I perhaps I'm blowing my own trumpet here, but I know that his dad appreciated the way that we looked after him when he was playing in some of the competitions in Warwickshire, and I'm really pleased that George has been nominated. He deserves the nomination, and as they all do as well. I mean, I'm sure you agree, Aaron. It's a really good night, the actual full ceremony, isn't it? I think it's up in Manchester somewhere. I don't know whether they change the venue each year or not.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. It is in Manchester, but unfortunately, Steve, 2022, they were still a little bit worried of COVID, and unfortunately, we had to do it remotely. So I unfortunately never experienced the actual lovely night that it was.
Well, probably saved us from you then. Right,
Aaron, the invitation is in the post.
Yes. Right, just a quick mention then for the next podcast, which takes place on Sunday, March the 13th. And I did mention it's a big one because we're going to be talking about sustainability in junior golf. We have done a podcast on this before, but we're really going to delve deep into this. We've got some people on who are going to be talking about how we can try and, golf clubs. There's you can recycle golf clubs. Juniors can, we know this for a fact. Juniors obviously grow out of their golf clubs. Well, what happens to their old golf clubs? Well, there are ways of recycling the golf clubs, finding venues which are sustainability. And I'm pleased to say as well, this is one thing we're going to be working on really closely, isn't it, Aaron? Isn't it, Steve? It's the fact that we want to make Progress Junior Golf, our events, as sustainable as possible. So we're trying to find prizes which are along those lines as well. We're going to be working with some big manufacturers who are really pushing those types of prizes as well. I know I've been talking to some manufacturers about things like trophies, trying to find sustainable trophies and made even the photos where you've seen the photos, some of those photos I've taken over the years, the ones which Bailey's going to be taking during the year. I'm pretty certain now I'm going to scrap the actual printed photos. It's all going to be digital photos from now onwards. Or if I can find someone out there who does photos on recycled paper, then we might leave that option there. But that's some of the ideas which are going to be working along over the next few weeks or so. I think that's going to be a real fascinating and important one. It's important to me, and I think it'll be important to junior golf and the golf industry as a whole. So that's one to watch out for. Really going to be a really good show, that is. Right, thanks very much for both Steve and Aaron for joining us on the Progress Junior Golf Show. Pleasure. And of course for Ian for looking after us in the background. As always, his internet connection was still a little bit slow, but we managed to get him on to show his face on the odd occasion. So, and I think we've broken the record, Aaron. You held the record before for the longest podcast we've had, and I knew with you and Steve on, it was going to be way over the record. And we have
always we can talk.
Absolutely, we can talk for England and we can talk for Australia. And a quick mention as well. Thanks very much as well for Bailey and also Leonie as well for their contributions as well. Really great to talk to them and hear their stories about how they're trying to get in the golf industry. And we as Progress Junior Golf are going to help those two and anyone else who wants help. If you do want to talk to Progress Junior Golf, please get in touch because we're more than happy to help you out and try and get you that next step on the ladder and not just the playing side of it as well, but get you into the industry as a whole. That's what this show's been all about today. Hope you've enjoyed the show and we will catch up with you soon. Thanks very much.
See you guys. Bye.